Science, January 19th of 2024 issue. Let's get this started with right now, people. Let's start off with some indigenous science. Alright, let me explain what's going to happen today. We're going to talk about indigenous science first, and then we're going to talk about T-Rexes, and maybe we'll have a little time to do a little extra two topics, but we're definitely going to do the first two topics first. So let's get this started with already. First of all, let's start with time to support the indigenous science. This place has been faced with profound challenges of rapidly changing climates and environments. All of that is here, and all of that is weird, and all of that is going to happen inevitably no matter what. Now the thing is, these profound new challenges are actually probably going to be helpful with indigenous people. Now indigenous people are actually pretty important too. Climate must be created by that values pluralism with particular sovereignty. Now apparently the world governments are pretty hard to convince of like long-term spending. Yeah, which is why there are no new moon bases yet. Which is also why everyone's all like, we want war! We do not care about the long-term climate change! We want war! Well, something like that. But anyways, indigenous science might actually help in all this too. After years of marginalization by Western science, regard for indigenous knowledge is actually reaching in high places. Apparently, in 2022, the White House actually called an elevating speech in the knowledge and research policy and land management, and this is extraordinary given that the U.S. track record of attempted erasure of indigenous thoughts through policy removal and forced assimilation. Basically meaning, these guys said indigenous people, please help us. Also, they probably might not, because the U.S. government is the reason why there are all those like reservations and everything like that too. And this is led by everything is actually going to be happening in like a non-good way. It's just time to support indigenous science though. Now, while celebrating these developments, the responsibility of institutions should not actually be overlooked. It is crucial that new enthusiasm not take the form of knowledge mining and akin to a company solely recognizing like the value of, previously overlooked minerals and rushing in to extract the ore for its own benefit, leaving behind toxic tailings. Yeah, that's pretty darn important. Wow. Now, supporting indigenous-led research also actually requires lots of things too. But the thing is, next thing that we might actually have to do is to support the indigenous Americans. Yes, we have a very hard relationship of history with them. However, it's actually best for now that we don't actually do any of that. Like, put all that aside, and we're friends. Friends! Dun 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 dun. Alright, next up, we have the T-Rex. The Tyrannosaurus Rex might have a new sibling. Now, if you ever watched the Jurassic Park movies, you actually probably know that dinosaur that they've genetically engineered to be larger, more massive, and much more stronger than the T-Rex. Wow! Now, the Tyrannosaurus Rex may have a new sibling. Now, scientists last week have actually unveiled what they conclude is like literally the closest relative to the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Now, this is a newly discovered species that provides first clues about where these giant, fearsome, carnivorous animals, giant lizards, who can't touch their own hands together, like this. I can't touch. Like that. And apparently, it's a sister species. It's dubbed the Tyrannosaurus macranius. And there's a little illustration I'm looking at here. Like, here. However, the thing is, it's like, very weird too. It's like, it looks like a T-Rex, but also looks, in my opinion, kind of like a girl because of like the hump on the head. Now, it consists only of fragment parts, but the research team estimates the full creature may have actually measured 13 meters long, about the same as T-Rex. Now, the skull fragments itself has been hiding in plain sight for years. Staff from New Mexico Museum of Natural History and Science actually found them decades ago, like 73 million year old rocks in the state's Macara Formation. They originally thought that it was belonged to the T-Rex, but further analysis showed the specimen lacked T-Rex's characteristics rigid behind the eyes, meaning it's a completely different species. And the anatomical difference between the T. macranius' age, which is up to 7 million years before the T-Rex, suggests a separate species. The researchers argue in the scientific reports. They say that the finding supports that a line of Tyrannosauruses evolved in North America before spreading to Asia, although the leading theory suggests the reverse. So basically saying T-Rex isn't the king of the dinos. I'm not the king of the dinos. No, your sister is. Tima Crean is the queen of the dinos, and you're just the king. Still king, but she is older than you. Hi, I'm supposed to be older. I'll kill you. I'm a queen. Oh well, that's good enough. I wonder what would happen if they did some things. That'd be weird. All right. Next up, apparently we have time for a bit two more. Next up, we have cancer genomes that can guide care. Now, this is pretty darn interesting too, because cancer genomes is biomedicine, by the way. Apparently, whole genome sequencing, WGSs, as we're called, of solid tumors actually may improve a patient's outcomes. Like researchers with the UK's ambitious 100,000 genome projects actually reported last week. In the largest study of its kind, which is published in Nature's Medicine, the team analyzed WGS of 33 types of solid measure tumors in nearly 14,000 adult patients. And depending on the type, between 3% and 95% of the tumors had actionable mutations suggesting a specific treatment. Now, the results support the UK National Health Service's plans to regularly use WGSs as part of care for 3 types of cancer: ovarian cancers, sarcomas, and glioblastomas. Some experts noted, however, that the lower cost of genetic tests yield much of the same information. Yeah, this is getting me interesting. Nice, people, nice. So that's about it. Now what? Well, we have time for one more. Lobster eye. No, we're not actually going to talk about lobster eyes. I actually like lobsters. I'm not sure about lobster eyes though. Mom?
Yes.
Do you like lobsters? Like eating them?
Of course. Yes.
What about lobster eyes?
Oh. Please don't. Let me eat.
Okay, you don't need to. It's a space term. It's a space term. Now, a lobster eye actually promises new looks in X-rays. New look at X-rays. Note, this is a Chinese spacecraft. Lobster eyes. Ow. All right. Now, China last week launched an X-ray observatory with an unusual telescope, which is inspired by, apparently it's called lobster eyes because it's inspired by lobster eyes. Hey, you're attacking the lobster. Good job, Claude. And it's going to gather new data on gamma ray bursts, supernovae, and stars being swallowed by black holes. Now, the Einstein probe, which is an illustration above, is a joint project of the Chinese Academy of Sciences and the European Space Agency. So apparently it's not just Chinese, it's also European. And it's going to go ahead and look at X-rays in the universe, and it can funnel X-rays from many directions using a single detector. The first time the approach has been incorporated into a major telescope. The instrument can survey the entire night sky in less than 5 hours, and allowing it to discover transient X-ray emitting sources and alert astronomers for follow-up observations. So yeah, that's about it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys soon. Next up, we're actually going to talk about real science. See you guys then. Shut up. Peace! Boom. Wear a helmet.